What's up, Junkies? We are 1 week away. Whew, that just makes me feel good. Makes me feel kind of funny, like climbing the rope in gym class. We cannot wait. Today we have a season prediction show. We have our special guest, Elijah Herbel from Hail Varsity Radeo. We're going to talk about the national college landscape in general, playoff teams, regular season for Nebraska, game by game, who's going to win, who's going to lose. Make sure you like, subscribe, and follow.
45, 50, 45, 40, 35, 30. He's gonna go! Holy cow!
Big Red Junkies.
Game by day! Game by day! He gets better and better! He gets better and better! Team is JPB! Oh, man, woman, and child, he just turned this stadium inside out!
This is Elijah Herbel of Hail Varsity Radeo. Find him in the afternoons on ESPN 590.
Yep. I mean, really all over the state, wherever you want to find us. 590 in Omaha. We're on 1240 KFOR in Lincoln. We're on in Columbus, a superstation out in Kearney Hastings, Grand Island. We're just about everywhere, but podcast form as well is a great way to listen to us because we know not everyone's available 4 to 6. So find us wherever you get podcasts. Hail Varsity Radio. We really appreciate everyone tuning in. So
I wind up watching on Twitter all the time.
Twitter's a good one.
Like, I won't remember. I'm after work. It's like post work. Yeah. I'm decompressing a little bit, and I'll be scrolling it up. There's Elijah. Oh, yep, let's fire it up. Let's go.
Well, especially since you work from home, so it's kind of hard. It's not like you're in the car.
Oh, yeah, I'm not driving.
Radio. Exactly. Yeah.
That's probably one of the things I miss the most about work from home is I don't have that 20-minute drive to and from to decompress, but I was catching up on a lot of sports talk and like stuff like that all the time.
Yeah.
Times.
I don't know. That's one of my favorite parts about working from home is I don't have that 20-minute drive to and from work. So.
when there's traffic, I definitely don't miss it.
Depending on the time, yeah.
Exactly.
But should be good. Before we really dive into this, I do have a question to ask to you guys, and it's mostly to you. What the hell do you mean by back in school climbing a rope? What do you mean by that in the intro?
You've never seen Wayne's World?
I have seen Wayne's World.
I know you're young and everything, but Wayne's World from Saturday Night Live. They did the whole thing where one of the jokes was makes me feel kind of funny, and then Garth says like climbing the rope in gym class.
Ah, okay, that went over my head completely. I'm sitting here.
No, yeah,
like, what the hell is this guy talking about?
Hey, the old guys will get that. That's all I.
Did you guys, either of you ever have to climb a rope in gym class?
No, not even close.
They quit punishing people that way back early enough for them.
They didn't even have ropes. Like we didn't even have the running ropes or anything. It was nothing.
So they never had it in like middle school or high school, but I'll never forget in elementary school in Holdridge having to try and climb up and touch the ceiling in the gym. And I'm like,
they had elementary
we're
schoolers
like
doing
first,
that?
second, third, fourth grade having to climb up. And if you fall from the top of a gym,
say there wasn't a mat either.
There was a wrestling mat that was this big.
It's like one of those kindergarten mats that they take naps on.
Sounds like a lawsuit waiting to happen.
Yeah. It's like dropping a lead pencil from a second story. Oh, the eraser's there. It'll catch you. It'll be fine.
You have one of those little foam mats over there for the kids and stuff.
Exactly.
That's
with the carpet underneath, it's probably softer than what we had with the wrestling mats.
Yeah.
Jeez. No, we didn't. I didn't even think we had to do anything too crazy in gym class growing up. I'm trying to think like.
It was like the presidential fitness test. That's what it was.
Yeah, you did with the pacer. You did the Pacergram fitness test. We had to go run back and forth in the gym. Little fat me did not like that one at all.
No, it was.
I was happy to get to 20.
I think the only other dangerous thing was those little square scooters.
Oh, yeah.
The wood was always chipped, so you'd get splinters on top holding on, but the bottoms, you'd always wind up pinching your finger at some point.
Yep, that's a classic. That brought back a memory I forgot I had. Oh. Stupid square
It makes my fingers kind of hurt right now.
Pain in my hands.
Yeah.
This is a prediction show. This is all about predicting the season.
1 week.
Both nationally and for the Huskers. I want to start off.
Oh, no, we got to start it off with this.
Oh, well, yes.
With our shots.
Cheers.
Oh, delicious.
Cheers to 8 days.
Yes.
That's tasty.
8 days.
Yeah, this Jefferson's very small batch is doing okay.
Very, very small.
It's exclusive.
Are you going up for the game?
I am not. I'm
You're
stuck
not?
in Lincoln. So we don't have another producer that's available to produce the show while that Minnesota game happens. So I'm stuck in Lincoln for that one, but I'm going to be on the road out in Boulder, which I'm really looking forward to.
Jed's going to that one, too.
I will be there.
Stop by and see us at Blur Parties. So there's a Blur Parties tent. We'll be doing our pregame show from there. We're starting bright and early at Oh, God. 6:30 local time?
Nice.
So we're going to be rocking. They'll have the game on TV if you don't get yourself a ticket into Folsom Field, so you can watch the game there. And we'll be hanging out doing our pregame show from there, and I believe our postgame show from Blair Parties as well. So we'll be there. And then trying to schedule a trip out to East Lansing for the Michigan State game as well.
I know a lot of people that are going out to the Michigan State game.
That's one of the stadiums I haven't checked off my Big Ten bucket list just yet. So there's still more stadiums than not on the bucket list I need to go hit, but I think that's the next one.
It'll be fun.
So
that'll be fun.
I'm really looking forward to East Lansing. And like that time of year should be decent enough weather still where it's not a complete just
not like the last time we went to a Minnesota State or Michigan State game.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, where it's snowing.
That blizzard where it was the stadium was half full by second quarter.
It was in Lincoln, and it was like a 6-9 game.
Yep.
It was Scott Frost's signature win.
Yeah.
Yeah. I remember that. It was an awesome game to be at for the whole half that I could see when I wasn't inside warming myself.
The funny thing about that game is the quarterback from Michigan State,
Rocky Lombardi,
is coming back to Lincoln as the quarterback for Northern Illinois.
Oh, right. I did see something about that.
He outlasted Scott Frost.
I did see something about that.
Impressive.
No, I remember that game, though, because I was working. I was still a student at the time. I was a student employee for Husker Vision. So I was running – I was the big number one camera, the one that's always on.
Oh, nice.
And whenever you're up there, you can't wear too thick of gloves or else it's really hard to operate the camera.
Oh, no.
And that one was brutal. And then my final season working for Husker Vision was the COVID season where the season started late, so like half the games are in December. And it's the Michigan State game, and then I think it was the I got to think now, Wisconsin game at home back in COVID 2020. Those are the two coldest games we ever had to set up because they're both 11 a.m. kicks, which means we're in the stadium at 6 a.m. Wind chills like negative 15 degrees, and you're trying to set up these cameras.
By the time the game was on, you were already frozen.
Well, by the time the game was gone, I'm thinking, wow, it's starting to warm up, isn't it? Everyone else is walking into the stadium freezing. I'm like, oh, we're above zero now. It's great.
So were you working there for? It was an Illinois game. It was the 11 a.m. game when we wore the alternate uniforms, where it looked like the jock strap on the helmet.
And it looked like they weren't wearing pants because it's like the skin tone pants.
Yes.
So that morning we tailgated for that. We went to that game and we got there at like 6 o'clock in the morning. Our picture was in the Lincoln Journal-Star for like early tailgaters and stuff. And it was so cold that some people were holding, their solo cups with their drinks, and as they were drinking it, you could see the frost ring. not Scott Frost, and not the lines like you guys are going to make the joke of.
Okay.
You cut us off.
You could just see the rings of it freezing on the glasses as people are drinking and stuff.
Jesus.
It was cold as shit. I didn't feel anything after a while.
You know what that tells me about their drinks? They didn't have enough booze in them.
Well, it was beer. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
That's why.
My
drink wasn't freezing, so.
Fair enough. Who do we think's winning the Big Ten? Just right out front. Everybody knows it's not Nebraska. I mean, we're not expecting it.
No.
0.001% outsider's chance. Matt Rule blows it off the top and goes undefeated his first season. That'd be awesome, right?
And it's not a West Division champion either.
No.
Let's just be real here.
No. Ohio State, Penn State, Michigan.
Yeah.
We've already kind of said. I think you took Michigan and we both took Ohio State.
Yep.
Do you have thoughts?
I actually really like the potential of Penn State this year. I'm not going to go as far as to predict them to win the Big Ten.
Yeah, they're going to be good.
Because it comes down to that quarterback, Drew Aller, 5-star. He's entering his true sophomore season. You really expect guys to make a big jump. And in his limited snaps, there's a lot of cleanup duty for him last year. Whenever he came in, he looked the part of a 5-star quarterback. Still, obviously, some refining that needed to be done in his game. But if he can make the jump that you expect a 5-star quarterback to make in year two, I think that Penn State team is a team you really got to watch out for. The two-headed monster they have at running back, Singleton, I think, is the starter. He's going to be awesome. They've got a good backup as well.
Five returning offensive linemen.
All five, yeah. And you add Drew Aller, a former 5-star, into that mix. I think that Penn State team could be something to watch out for this year. But I'll also say, I think it'd be really stupid at this point to pick against either Ohio State or Michigan just because of how those two have run the conference for a decade.
Well, Penn State feels like that outlier to me that they've always kind of just been there. Jed hates their head coach.
I do.
He's a great, what do you call him? He's a great Sunday through Friday coach?
He's a great Sunday through Friday coach. He's a great recruiter, all those other things. He's a terrible game day coach.
Well, I think you have to root for James Franklin, though. If Matt Rule gets things rolling at Nebraska, which is a big if, as of right now, still haven't played a game. I'm not willing to say that that's going to happen. But if Matt Rule gets it rolling at Nebraska, you better root for James Franklin because I think the draw of the alma mater, Penn State, for Matt Rule is very, very real. I think that draw is real, and I think if James Franklin doesn't get things going, something to watch out for is that him and Jimbo Fisher have the same agent. And Jimbo Fisher's been trending downwards at Texas A&M.
Oh, yeah.
James Franklin, he's been at Penn State for a while now. Maybe he's looking for a change of scenery. Maybe things don't go as well as you'd hope in 2024, 2025 whenever new schools join the conference. Does he become a top candidate at Texas A&M moving forward, especially if Penn State isn't too happy with his performance? And then you worry about Matt Rhule to Penn State, and that's a long ways off. I don't want to go down that path too far here as we sit here in August of 2023, because I think that's a couple years off still. But
you're
that's
already
something you got to watch out for.
So let's just stop.
Well, it's relevant with Ted Carter jumping ship and going to Ohio State, right?
It was a shocker to me. I'm glad that he got us all set up. I don't really understand the move, but apparently they're paying him more. I'm not sure.
Yeah, they are.
We gave him one Harley. Maybe they're giving him two. I'm not sure. I'm not sure what the hell's going on. But no, I mean, back to Penn State. Penn State, beyond the 2 points that you made about the offensive line and the quarterback, they just have a bunch of other high-end skill position guys coming back. Like their offense should be absolutely loaded. They've got another two-headed monster at running back. They're going to be good. Who knows what their defense is actually going to look like? But if you score 45 points a game,
they've got guys. I mean, they recruit their ass off, so they've got dudes.
They do. Just like Jimbo Fisher.
Yeah,
great recruiter. Can't necessarily coach or get it on the field.
Unless he has a generational talent like a Jameis Winston to win a national title at Florida State, then Jimbo Fisher can win. Same thing with James Franklin finally winning a conference title a handful of years ago because he had a generational talent in Saquon Barkley. You know, without those types of guys, I said the same thing about Mac Brown in Texas. Great recruiter, can't coach a lick until he gets a generational talent in Vince Young. It's the same kind of concept.
He did already have Saquon Barkley, though.
Well, no, James Franklin, yeah, I'm talking just in a when you have that one guy that can put you over the top. It's cool that you're recruiting all these other guys, but if you can't coach them, like I don't think James Franklin can specifically on game days, you know, it doesn't really mean anything. Those generational guys just put you over the top.
Yeah.
And something that's going to be huge with Penn State here this year is going to be that schedule, because Happy Valley, one of the hardest places to play in the Big Ten. You hear it from former players. You see it on TV. I haven't made the journey out to Happy Valley just yet to catch a game. I'm not willing to make that 12-hour road trip just yet. It's on the bucket list. I mean, 100,000 strong. I have some friends who've caught games out there. Tough place to go play. And the schedule sets up decently for them this year in terms of the big dogs that they have to play. They have to go play at the Shoe. They have to go play at Ohio State. But you get Michigan at home, and then you also get Iowa at home, which are two road games that would have been tough if you have to go play at the Big House, or even Kinnick's a tough place to go play, as much as I don't like Iowa.
At night, isn't it?
The Ohio State game is at Ohio State, though.
Yeah, but I'm pretty positive it's a night game.
Oh, I don't know if it's been set up yet or not.
I think we looked at the TV schedules on that, and it's that's
I have to assume if they both do as well as we think they will this year, that'll be a prime.
But Ohio State's big on that whole I don't want to play night games at home thing.
Fucking pussies. God, it's just...
So if you had to pick between Ohio State and Michigan, I mean, I feel like Ohio State's super loaded, and Ryan Day has basically one target this year. That's beat Michigan.
Clearly, Vegas loves Ohio State.
I really like Ohio State as well. I mean, Michigan, it's hard to bet against them with their success the past couple of years, but what my selling point is the fact that they don't have a first-round pick as of right now at quarterback, and I think it might lead to a more balanced offense from the Buckeyes this year. It's still the quarterback battle between Brown and McCord right now. We still don't know who the starter is going to be. They have all that talent at wide receiver. Whoever ends up being the quarterback is going to be fine.
Yeah.
But you have to think about the fact that you're going to want to take pressure off that guy. In his first year as the starter, you have Travion Henderson, a good running back, and you have an offensive line that reports are coming out of their camp that it's a much more willing offensive line in terms of running the football. They lost some NFL talent there, but you have some guys that love running the football in that offensive line, from what reports are saying out of camp. I think they're going to be more balanced offensively. I think that's going to allow whoever the quarterback is to make easier reads, make easier throws. I think that offense is going to be dangerous, and it really comes down to how physical are they willing to be. And if they're willing to run the football more, I think that is kind of a butterfly effect throughout the whole team, that the whole team is going to be more physical. But that's what it comes down to whenever they go play Michigan at the end of the year, which I think we all sit here and understand the national relevance of that game, how important it's going to be in the Big Ten race. Whoever wins that game, probably your Big Ten champion.
Yeah. And also,
it's as simple as that. And if you can match that physicality of Michigan, I think Ohio State has a talent advantage. Michigan's been out physicaling them over a couple of years now.
Yeah. I think the other big thing for Ohio State is year 2 under Jim Knowles. Mm-hmm. I mean, year 1, you're learning all your stuff, but year 2 under Jim Knowles, who's a great defensive coordinator, I think that's going to just take them up a little bit.
And the amount of talent they return defensively as well.
Yeah, and they still have two projected top 5, top 7 picks in the NFL draft at wide receiver. Yeah. You talk about being more balanced and running the ball more, but we still have these two dudes over here we have to feed.
Well, that makes their job easier as a wide receiver. Whenever the safety's got their eyes in the box because, hey, it's been Travion Henderson pounding us for 40 yards on the ground this drive, and now we're going to get the top taken off.
Well, that's why you
being
said
a defensive coordinator against that Ohio State team this year is going to be hell.
That's why you said, there's still a battle between McCord and Brown, and really doesn't matter when you have those guys to throw to. Like, we could go out there and throw to those guys. Like, those guys are that good. So it's like,
I don't know. I got a bum shoulder, man.
Then throw with your left hand. You can still be okay.
Kick the ball. It'll be fine.
Get it in their general direction.
Ever since I saw my Denver Broncos march out Kendall Hinton as their starting quarterback, and to watch that guy go, what was it, 1 for 7 with an interception in an NFL game. I understand that's NFL. It's not college. That was the moment in my life whenever I went, I probably shouldn't use the whole term. I could complete that pass. I could throw it to that guy. That's whenever I tried to take that out of my lexicon, because I said that the night before. I'm like, come on. Like, we were trying to predict the guy's stat line. I'm like, oh, he'll probably go 5 for 15, not great. And then it was just the most god-awful performance I've ever seen. And that dude was a college quarterback. And I went, never mind. I'm never going to say anything like that again.
You're not wrong, but whatever.
It's different in the pros. You brought up Denver, though. That does remind me, I've got to give a shout-out to my boy, Anthony Bassino. He's also a Broncos fan, but he showed up to my birthday last week. He brought me a signed Scott Frost jersey. I was super stoked. Meant to actually have it out on the table to show off tonight, but
Did you use it as toilet paper yet, or?
Oh, get the fuck out of here. No, that's. I think he's a dick, but it's still a cool
What
gift.
color was it? Was it red or was it?
It's a great gift now because it's like the stock market. Like, the value of Scott Frost is low now.
I'm sorry.
15 years from now, that stock's going back up.
I'm a moron. Not Scott Frost. Eric Crouch. My bad.
Jesus, way different.
Way different. Heisman. He's right there. My bad.
Giant difference.
Yeah. So now I've got 2 Crouch signatures. We're good.
Yes, they both wore number 7, but
Jesus Christ.
How do we cut that out of here? Jesus.
No, the funny thing is, back in the day when I was a server, I served Eric Crouch 2 different times in a month. And both times he was a massive dick to me. He was in at lunch. And I was just like, this fucking guy's an asshole. And this is like 2009, 2008, something like that. I don't know what he was selling, insurance or pools or some shit.
No, you remember he was selling?
No.
I remember this. Playground equipment.
Yeah,
that's right. That's right.
That's what he does.
He hated his life. That's what the deal was. Sorry.
How did you get into that field in the first place?
There's not a degree there, I'm sure.
Yeah, I majored in playground equipment sales.
He did graduate from Lincoln with playground logistics.
That's at Millard North
I passed
Education.
the wood density test.
You need to know about slides? I'm your guy.
Viscosity or something like that. That's what he's into.
No, but shout out Bassino. So, Big Ten champ. Obviously, we expect one of them, if not 2 of them. Well, the top 2 teams will get into the playoff. Mm-hmm. This is the last year of the Final Four. Does anybody have a Final Four they want to throw out right off the top of the head?
I mean, I've got a Final Four. My prediction of a Final Four. I got Georgia, LSU, so 2 teams from the SEC.
I like the LSU pick, actually.
Ohio State, obviously, they're winning the Big Ten, so they're going to get in. And my 4th team, I don't know if they're going to be number 4 or whatever, but my 4th team is Texas. I hate saying that because fuck Texas, but year 2 with Sarkisian in that offense, with Quinn Ewers at least, I think he's going to make a huge jump, and they've got an explosive offense. Again, we talked about Penn State returning all their offensive linemen. Texas is doing the same. Yes, they have to replace Bijan Robinson, but they have a good guy in the back. They've got Xavier Worthy, who's one of the best wide receivers in the entire country. I think I've got Texas beating Alabama in week 2, which gives them a little bit of a cushion if they happen to lose a game in the middle of the season to have 1 loss and still be able to make it. And with their schedule, I don't see more than 1 loss anyway. So I've got Texas as my 4th team in the playoff.
I like that. If we just want to go around the table here, I can give you my 4. So I'm going to start off with the Big Ten. I just picked Ohio State likely to win it, so I'm going to throw Ohio State in there. I think this Georgia team is better than Bama. I do think Bama, they looked mortal last year. They don't have a quarterback right now. I really think it's going to be back to what Bama of 10 years ago was in terms of running the football, grounding and pounding. Yep. I think that's going to get them through the SEC up until they reach Georgia. I think that Georgia defense is just too nasty. I think Georgia gets the win. I think Georgia's in your playoff. I like the Texas pick. I'm not willing to go there. I really like a Pac-12 champion, whoever it is. And this might be cop out.
4 good choices though of the Pac-12.
I the 3 I look at are USC, Oregon, and Utah. I think
not Washington.
I like Washington. I'm not sure they're ready yet.
Okay.
Personally, Penix as a quarterback, I like him. I'm not sure he's a college football playoff contender in terms of what he can do with that offense. I think the 3 is USC, Utah, and Oregon. I'm no expert on the Pac-12, so I'm going to go cop out here and say whoever wins the Pac-12 is in.
The only one I know that watches Pac-12 football.
I watch all football. I watch Mountain West, like whatever.
And then if you're really going to press me for it, I do think a second Big Ten team makes it in this year, and it's probably going to be Michigan. Yeah. So the 4 I have right now, Michigan, Ohio State, Georgia, and then Pac-12 champion. If I had to predict that right now, I think it's Bo Nix and Oregon. I really like what they have, but I don't want to bet against Caleb Williams and USC either. With Lincoln Riley in year 2, he's going to continue building. Got a couple good transfers in again this year. Don't want to bet against them. I think Utah's on the outside looking in the Pac-12, but if you tell me that Utah just goes and out physicals the rest of the Pac-12 and wins it this year, I also wouldn't be surprised. So that's why I hate to give you the cop-out answer to say whoever wins the Pac-12, but I think whoever wins the Pac-12 is going to be in, and if I have a lean right now, I'll give you Oregon.
I saw people talking Utah earlier today when I was looking at stuff for this. It's crazy.
I think the big thing is how healthy is Cam Rising.
Yep.
Especially early because they have Florida like in the first couple of weeks of the season. If they lose that game, they're probably out.
And nobody knows what Florida's going to look like this year.
No, but I'm just saying if Cam Rising's not playing right away and he's the one he got injured, in the bowl game last year.
Yeah.
So if he's not ready week 1, then that's up
their
in the
offense
air,
doesn't move the ball much. At least they didn't in the rest of that game.
Yeah.
I don't know. Me personally, I'm curious to see whether or not having Penn State, Michigan, and Ohio State be all 3 so good this year, if that's going to be to their detriment. If they wind up losing the wrong game, all 3 of them, we could wind up having the Big Ten champ be the 4th team in and barely squeak in, or we could wind up having 2 teams in and it be golden. I don't know. I haven't looked at it enough to think whether one way or the other on that. I think Georgia for sure. I have them winning the Natty again. I think they're going to be the first team to.
I'm going to pick them until they don't.
Yeah,
honestly,
it's one of those. You always say prove it. It's one of those. Somebody prove me that they can beat them in the national championship. I think exactly what you said about Alabama, going back to their roots, being more old school. Nick Saban had fun with having a quarterback for the last 4, 5, 6 years, and they did some fun stuff with it, but they got away from what they were really known for. And if you look at their recruiting patterns over the last 2 years, they have gone way more back to, we need to focus way more on the defense, we need to focus more on the ground and pound, get some more top-end offensive line guys in here. Because not like they didn't have top-end, but they weren't the same type of guys that they were getting in there before. Mm-hmm. And I think you nailed it spot on with Alabama. I don't see Texas. I just don't see it.
I like it. I think they finished the year top 10. I don't think they finished the year in the college football playoff. I think they have a lot of talent. I don't think they're ready yet for the big jump.
Also, they're Texas, so they can fuck right off.
I 1,000% agree with you.
Horns down, you just got fined, bro.
My biggest point about the Texas is because I think that they're going to beat Alabama in week 2, I think that's going to skyrocket them. Not just confidence,
prediction.
but also...
That is a hot prediction right there.
You think they're going to beat Nick Saban in week 2?
Especially in Alabama? Yeah, I do.
Okay.
People be calling for his retirement if he loses week 2 at home.
If they lose that game, then my prediction's completely out the window because Texas won't make the playoff. But I'm basing it off of them beating Alabama. That's why.
Have you guys made anything of, like, I started to see a couple different things from different places earlier this week of, Arch pushing for that starting spot, potentially unsettling the apple cart.
Everything they've said is they want him to redshirt. Like they don't want him to start. They're planning on him not starting. So it's basically as long as Quinn Ewers plays like Quinn Ewers, he's the guy this year.
Scary.
So
Scary to have 2 dudes like that. For my 4th, I was kind of going to pull a cop out and say I don't really know. I don't really know where they're going to come from. It feels like we could easily get 2 SEC teams in. It feels like we could easily get 2 Big Ten teams in.
It could be 2 and 2.
That's a good lead into my prediction because that's exactly what I think. I think
Ohio State, Michigan, and Alabama and Georgia.
Exactly, and not necessarily in any particular order because I think it's going to come down to if they're all undefeated until they play each other. That's the 4 teams you got to put in there.
Yeah,
in my opinion. Now I hate having only 2 conferences in the Final Four. That's just because you want a little more parity in there, but.
It's just
I don't know who you leave out if you've got all unbeatens, they play each other, and then I don't know who you you pick there.
Yeah.
So those are my 4.
Well, and we've been talking about how Penn State can upset the apple cart in terms of the Big Ten. If they go get some wins, if they beat Michigan, like it completely upsets if they beat Michigan, Michigan goes and beats Ohio State. That eliminates a possibility, assuming Ohio State then beats Penn State.
I was going to say, if those 3 teams basically split.
I think then you just have to take the Big Ten winner.
Yeah,
that's what
agree.
I mean, though. I think they could be to their own detriment when it comes to those 3 teams.
Could you see us like with Tennessee's rise in the SEC? I can kind of see them the same way in terms of upsetting the apple cart in the SEC.
Yes, they
beat Bama last year,
for sure.
And if you can sneak a game against Bama or Georgia, if either of those teams don't, run the table, like we could just see one SEC team in there. There's some parity in college football this year among the SEC and the Big Ten that I think is going to be interesting, at least at the top of those conferences, where I'm not stupid enough to go to pick against Bama and Georgia and Ohio State and Michigan. I'm not stupid enough to pick against those teams. But at the same time, if there's a year that the apple cart gets upset, it's going to be this year, the final year of the 4-team playoff, with just some of these other teams on the rise. You mentioned Texas, Tennessee, Penn State, just the
LSU.
wildness out in the Pac-12. LSU, their offensive line is going to be fantastic this year. They got Neighbors, who probably is one of the best wide receivers in the country, and they got Daniels, the quarterback. LSU
look
could
at their
make some
progression
noise.
from the beginning of last season to the end.
And who's going to bet against Brian Kelly?
I've bet against him for a long time.
Really?
I thought he was trash at Notre Dame. I thought he never actually got to where he should have gotten.
Because fuck Notre Dame.
And one of the guys we've had on the show, a great friend of mine, Vegas. He's a Husker hater. He's from here. He grew up in Waterloo, but he grew up a Notre Dame fan, and he will talk all day about Notre Dame football. And he talked about, as soon as I saw that news break, I'm texting him. I'm like, "What do you think? What do you think?" He's like, Brian Kelly got a golf pass. He's going down there to run a program, probably win 7-8 games every year, just like he has at Notre Dame, and he'll golf for the next 5 years and call it a day because he got a guaranteed contract.
Yeah.
What sold me on Brian Kelly, though, was what the coaches before him at Notre Dame did. 7-8 wins was the standard for Notre Dame for a good decade, probably 2005 till 2015.
Those were good
That's what you were
seasons,
expecting.
some of them.
And you had like the Brady Quinn year where they kind of went, and I think they went 10-2 that year. And you're like, okay, like Notre Dame, are they back? No, turns out they're not. Brian Kelly was the one that was able to lead them back to the promised land of the college football playoff. And whenever he went down to LSU, the recruiting limitations that you have at Notre Dame, which I know,
it's totally different.
I know Catholics across the country love sending their kids to Notre Dame, but you have limitations in terms of, we've all seen Rudy, the academic requirements of Notre Dame, the fact that you're independent. There's limitations up there. All those are taken away at LSU, especially as you enter the NIL era, where LSU is going to do very, very well. I was pretty sold on Brian Kelly when they made that hire, just in terms of what he can do. And if it's a year 2 rise for Brian Kelly, I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, he rose last year at the end of the season. Mm-hmm. The difference in the team, just the way they were playing ball at the beginning of the year, where I think they almost lost to Florida State week 1.
Week 1.
It was like an overtime game.
It was a blocked field goal or extra point, whichever
something
one
like that. Yeah, and they played like ass. They were terrible. And you look at, I watched that whole game. It was like the only game on at the time. Mm-hmm. You look at that game and then how they played at the end of the season. Jesus Christ, the turnaround, the difference.
Yep.
If Nebraska can make that sort of a leap in 1 year, we'll all be happy. We'll all be very happy.
That's a big if.
The more that we talk about all of these different teams that are just getting much better this year, I don't know if you can actually make a good prediction for this Final Four, because you got to face the fact that football is going to happen every Saturday.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
You're going to have those block punts. You're going to have that crazy return. We could see a couple teams in there that we haven't seen in there for a while.
That's why I wish it was already the 12 teams. Like this year especially, there's a lot of really good teams out there. The top 10 in general is going to be really tough the entire time. Mm-hmm. And it's going to be an every given Saturday type of a thing. Do you think that there's another TCU from last year, Fairy Tale Story, out there this year? That's obviously hard to predict, but
I'd like to think so. But on the other hand, there's
are you
been
winking
one.
for Nebraska? Is that what that was?
I'll just say there's been one.
Just give them a big one.
Since the college football playoff has started, there's been one team to do that, and it's been TCU. Is that because of the NIL and the transfer portal and how that's changed college football? You could make an argument, or is this just lightning in a bottle one time? Like, I hate to give you the non-committal answer here, but I'll have to wait and see. I don't believe so. I don't think NIL and transfer portal has changed to the point where we can expect that year in, year out. And maybe once we get to a 12-team playoff where more teams have a chance of getting in, that's going to happen some more. But I refuse to believe that TCU is going to be the standard moving forward, because what they got last year was special.
No.
That was a special season.
You made the comment before. Gary Patterson didn't leave those cupboards bare.
No, he didn't leave them bare.
He was walking into a very nice position. Well, he didn't have to use NIL that much. He didn't have to use the transfer portal a ton to fill that locker room.
Well, I think you guys have probably heard the quote before about Scott Frost. His success at UCF is they came from a very militaristic program, and Scott Frost comes in with talent and is able to make football fun for these guys, and you can turn around in 2 years because despite the fact that team went 0-12, there was talent there. They just hated playing the game of football. Scott Frost comes in and makes it fun. I think you can say the same thing about TCU. Gary Patterson, militaristic in how he approaches football. It's not very fun. Did they win games? Yes, but that team was not living up to their potential. Sonny Dykes comes in. Guess what? Football's fun again.
Yep.
We get to go out there and have fun on Saturdays. And now, you know what, with a quarterback that likes to air it out and is a lot of fun to watch, and Max Duggan, that team was fun to watch last year. You could tell they were having fun, and it led to a whole bunch of success. That's like similar to UCF. I feel like that's more lightning in a bottle than it's something we can expect. Perfect storm. Perfect way to put it.
2 years before UCF went 0-12, they were 12-2 or whatever it was with Blake Bortles. So it's not like they were a garbage team for a long time.
But that was.
And with George O'Leary getting fired halfway through the year, the team just quit that 0-12 team. So it's like they weren't they were 0-12. They weren't 0-12 bad. Mm-hmm. Like, I don't want to use the whole thing that Nebraska tried to do a couple of years ago where we were the best 3-9 team in the country. Who cares? You were 3-9.
Yeah. They
were at least not a horrendous.
And that really turned us
team.
around the next couple of years.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, exactly. So I'm just curious. We all just gave our 4 teams. Mm-hmm. I think I know you guys are, because you said the whole prove it thing with Georgia as far as winning the national title.
They're gonna be fucking good this year.
Yeah. Is that who you got winning the national title, or who you got?
Also, it's about Alabama's turn again.
Yeah, it is about Alabama's turn again.
If we don't have them in the Final Four, then
I think there's less confidence from what I've heard from Kirby Smart this fall camp than the past couple of seasons. Don't get me wrong, Georgia's still going to be great. They're still a college football playoff team. I really, really like Ohio State this year. They're a team that's grown on me through fall camp.
You and the Vegas odds
starting
both.
to regret asking him to come on the show because he's stealing all my fucking answers.
Okay,
you already said you expected Georgia to win.
Yeah,
just what you just said.
No, I know that, but I was going to say Ohio State now just because of the fact that.
Well, then you're going to be mad at me.
He also likes to flop his answers. Sorry, why Ohio State? It's going to be awful this year.
No, it's fine. It's fine. It's just a case of. I think kind of what I laid out earlier, an offense that's more balanced, I think is going to allow them to be more advantageously matched up with some of the teams that are closer to them in skill level. If you can get that physicality up to where the Georgias and the Michigans are. I mean, we've talked about it. Ohio State, their wide receivers, best in the country. Ohio State, with what they have at quarterback, assuming that these guys are what they lived up to being in their recruiting profiles, whoever it is, McCord or Brown, like that's a guy that's going to be able to get the balls to the receivers, let those guys go do what they do in space. I forget their tight end's name now, but he had a great year last year, and he's given another pass-catching option, also a great blocker. Travion Henderson, another year of development. Like, what they have offensively is going to be great. Defensively, I think they're going to be super solid. And with what you hear from Ryan Day coming out of fall camp, I think he's pretty confident with what he has this year. And the main thing I come back to, though, is just the fact that I think based on what their offense is going to have to be to take some pressure off of the first-year starter, I think it's going to lend itself to being a team that has to be more physically sound to go win football games. And I think if you're more physically sound, that Ohio State program has as much talent as Georgia, and I think they're due. It's as simple as that. I think they're due.
I fucking hate that you're right about all your points, too.
Yeah.
Like, it's rude.
That tight end is Stover, by the way.
Stover, that's right. He's on my fantasy college team. I should have known that.
My biggest thing is, I agree with you guys. I always say prove it until otherwise. But I'm not picking Georgia this year, mainly because mainly him, because he's always wrong.
I should have thought about that first.
Then don't go with Ohio State, because that's where I was going to go with this prediction.
But in the AP era since 1936, when it started, there's never been a 3-time champion, 3 in a row.
Yeah.
So you have that situation, and I had my buddy Loose Mike down in Florida look this up because he doesn't do anything and he's a lazy fuck. So
Mike.
I just had to say that just to piss him off. I had him do a little homework for me because I work way too fucking much. But since Oklahoma won back-to-back titles in 55 and 56, there's been 7 teams to win back-to-back national titles. and only 2 of them have had the same quarterback in year 3. So, yes, Georgia, and that was USC and Alabama the last couple times with Leinart and A.J. McCarron. And they couldn't win the third straight national title. So the fact, yes, Georgia's going to be talented as hell, all of those things. They got probably the best talent in the entire country. But having a new quarterback come in with that kind of pressure and back-to-back titles.
Especially one under the age of 40.
Yes. Yes, Stetson Bennett's 45, yeah. But I just think it's the pressure to have a new guy, no matter how much of a 5-star, 4-star, 7-star, whatever that their quarterback is. I just think that's going to be too much for them. I don't see them winning the national title. They're going to make the playoffs.
Is that why you're taking Ohio State out?
Basically, yeah.
And just to
no, because they had that sort of pressure as far as winning the third straight national title is not the same thing on Ohio State. That's why, but, so since Georgia opens up that spot, that's why I'm taking Ohio State.
And I'll just add to this as well. It kind of goes in the same lines with what you're saying with the quarterback. I understand Georgia with what they do on the recruiting trail. It's hard to beat them. You have a lot of leeway in terms of mistakes. It's really, really hard to stack together that many recruiting classes that are perfect. And to go win a national championship, if you're the number 1 recruiting class, it doesn't have to be perfect. It has to be damn near close to perfect still. With the amount of parity and talent in college football, it's really, really hard to make sure that your roster is buttoned up top to bottom every single year with what you do in recruiting. And the transfer portal helps that. But that's not what Georgia does. Georgia lets what their guys... I mean, it's the perfect formula for college football. It's what Matt Rhule wants to do. The guys that are backups are going to develop, and they're going to become your starters. You don't want to hit the transfer portal if you're Georgia. It's really, really difficult to be perfect on the recruiting trail year in, year out, to not have any mistakes. And Georgia's a program, they can probably deal with a couple mistakes because of what they have and what they do every single year.
3 deep at every
but
position.
It's hard. But it's really, really hard to be perfect to a point that you're national championship perfect.
My thing about Georgia that it's just going to continually make me pick them, it's their coach.
Yeah.
I fucking love Kirby Smart. He's
and the point you made about, Kirby Smart's not even as high on him as he has been in the past. Kirby Smart's also the same dude that started last year off telling the entire team, nobody thinks we can do it.
we're the underdog.
So I don't give a
Fuck
shit
off.
what Kirby Smart's saying right now.
Yeah.
Fuck that. And when you pull up Vegas odds, and Vegas is right way more often than anybody ever wants to admit.
There's a reason why the casinos out there are so big.
Exactly. You pull up Vegas odds right now, you can't hardly make any money betting on Georgia to win the national championship right now. I'm not talking about win the SEC, win their division, nothing. I'm talking about to win the Natty. You look at some of the teams we talked about being in the Final Four. You mentioned LSU possibly. You lay 100, you're going to win $1,200. That's a great return on your money. Michigan $850. Ohio State is slightly better than Michigan at $700. Alabama's $600. Okay, Georgia's $220.
Yeah.
That's bullshit. Those are bullshit odds. No one should be getting that is a low value bet that has a very good chance of paying off.
Yeah.
But it's a very low value bet.
They probably have a lot of people who've already bet on it too. But I bet they had a lot of people bet on it the second they won it last year.
Sure. Absolutely. You look at it and you're like, how the hell do you argue against Georgia when you have guys like MJ Sherman transferring out? You have talent that is going to, what we think, lift up a lot of other programs around the country because they've lost so many guys because they were told, sorry, the guys we're bringing in are better than you and you've got to go.
When you basically are kicking out Eric Gilbert.
Yeah, not to poo-poo your point about recruiting and being perfect. I don't think anything about college football is about being perfect. You got to have the perfect storm as far as the right coaches in place and things like that. And from a coaching staff perspective,
football still happens.
And football still happens. I don't know the continuity of their coaching staff, but you won the Natty with Stetson Bennett last year, like a guy who was a walk-on.
Are we about to have some Stetson Bennett slander here? Because that dude was legit. I'll just say that.
Legit.
He was a walk-on, but he was legit.
His grandchildren loved that game.
He's balling out for the Rams right now, too, from what I hear. I'm not trashing him, but I'm saying he was a walk-on. Like, when you talk about...
I mean, Baker Mayfield was a walk-on. He won the Heisman. So
he was
very fair.
He was only kind of a walk-on, though. If you dive into he was a scholarship guy that then had to walk on because he wanted to transfer.
I'm just saying.
He's a bit of a... There's an asterisk there.
You're right.
There's an asterisk there. Stetson Bennett was slept on through the entire recruiting process, but he also beat out 5-star after 5-star after 5-star at Georgia. The dude was legit.
And I'm not saying he's not legit, but what I'm saying is when it comes to recruiting, you don't have to be perfect.
Yeah.
You can even take a swing on a guy like that and wind up smelling like roses.
Yeah, whenever you have 10 dudes get drafted in the first round every single year, you miss on one. You know what? You can cover it up. I get what you're saying.
Exactly. So they feel like Alabama from 5 or 6 years ago with more firepower offensively every single year.
Mm-hmm. But that Alabama team of 5 to 10 years ago never three-peated. That's hard to do.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's why I'm not picking Georgia.
And that's what we're talking about here. That's why I'm bringing up like perfection is because you'd be the first team to three-peat. Mm-hmm. Yeah. You'd be the first to do it. That's another level of perfection.
That's hard on professional players in every sport.
Yeah. I mean, hell, yeah. You don't even see that in the pros.
You just look at like Golden State breaking the record for wins in a season and then losing that year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like it's true. That sort of pressure gets to kids. And so now I'm talking myself out of Georgia, but still.
No, prove it.
Regardless of what I said, I'm taking Ohio State.
If they can convince themselves to be the underdogs this year, they're going to be just fine.
Oh, yeah.
Sure. It's funny because talking yourself out of it, sometimes in working in radio, you'll make a point, and then you'll kind of forget about that point after 2 months. And then,
or 2 minutes.
Yeah. Well, and then you say something that sort of flies in the face of that, and somebody's going to call in, well, 2 months ago you just said this. And I went, well, I talked myself out of it. I talked for 2 hours a day. Like, it's not a case of I forgot about it, but over the course of 2 months, my opinion changed because I have to talk for 2 hours a day, and I talked myself out of it. It
also,
happens.
God damn it, football is exciting to talk about.
You can change your mind. It's okay.
I'm going to get excited about everything. So.
Yeah.
Now the one surprise when I'm looking down this list, like you're seeing Florida State is only 9 down this list, right behind Clemson. I mean Notre Dame's up there.
Texas is below Florida.
I was just going to say I think Texas is like 25 to 1.
And Texas is 25 to 1. A couple of books have them at 2,000 and 2,200, and then it drops significantly after that to 3,000 plus for Notre Dame, Tennessee, Oregon, Washington,
into the top
Texas
25.
A&M, Oklahoma, Utah, way down there.
Now, is it time to discuss if Nebraska's a value bet here?
No.
Nebraska's a value bet? No.
To what? Win the division? Or?
To win the Natty, obviously.
No, I meant just the division.
Bet $1 and win what?
$1 million?
$5,000?
Bet 100 and win 30 grand.
So, wait, 30 grand?
30
So
grand.
It's not even as good as I think.
Bet $1 and win
30 grand. Illinois is 25. Minnesota's 20.
So a $1 bet on Nebraska to win the Natty only nets you $300. I was expecting a little better.
You want to hear some spreads?
Still a good return.
Listen to these spreads.
I put $10 on that
between
for sure.
4 different sports books. You've got Colorado at 40,000, 25,000, 20,000, and 10,000.
Yeah,
that's fucking insane. Those are dudes. That's a value bet right there. You go out and you play on the 40.
Yeah, they're going to win 2 games this year. Who cares?
I agree.
That's not a value bet on jack shit.
No.
That's wild. But Utah, I mean, seeing Utah I've seen them in 4 or 5 Final Four predictions this week because I was doing a little looking at them. Seeing them way down like 16 or 17 on this list.
I think the biggest question mark again is Cam Rising's health. That's why.
That's crazy. I don't have anything else on the Final Four predictions. National championship predictions.
Burn this tape once December rolls around because we're all going to be wrong.
We're going to be shit wrong.
Burn this tape. I don't want anyone bringing this up.
It's going to be like Tennessee and Oklahoma. And,
we'll just all get back together and laugh at each other. That's what we'll do.
No, you know what it's going to be? It's going to be Florida State. He's like, they're in 17th. Like,
I honestly almost wanted to put Florida State in there. It's kind of interesting that not one of us even brought up an ACC team.
Yeah, Clemson. Yeah.
Any of them. I mean, Florida State, I think, is going to be really good this year. I just don't know that they're going to be good enough to get up there. So
I'm buying stock on Florida State. I'm buying stock on Clemson. One team, which I'm sure this is going to go wrong, and I'm putting it out there, I am completely selling Notre Dame.
Completely selling. Huh?
I am selling on Notre Dame. 9-3 with their schedule, 10-2 should be fine. That's not a national championship team. Like they're getting better than they were last year. I think too many people are buying into what Brian Kelly did there as like this is the standard at Notre Dame, and people forget what we laid out earlier in the show, how hard it is to actually go recruit and build a national championship caliber team at Notre Dame. You can build a great team at Notre Dame. It's hard to do that.
Premier recruiter, though. When Brian Kelly left, he was their premier recruiter.
But he was also only there for like a year.
Yeah, he was the first year D coordinator.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So, I mean,
Yeah, he was the guy they wanted. We'll see if he can actually coach, kind of like James Franklin we talk about. If he can actually coach on Saturdays.
Well, I said it to one of my cousins who's a big Notre Dame fan, and I said it to Vegas as well. I love Marcus Freeman as a coach and everything else. I just don't know that. I've said this also about Nebraska all the time. Having a first-year head coach be at a place like Nebraska or Notre Dame, those types of places up there. Those are places that shouldn't have first-time head coaches.
But if you look at the beginning of the season to the end of the season, the most improved teams, you'd have to say LSU and probably Notre Dame. Because Notre Dame was hog shit at the beginning of the year.
Yeah, they were. Mm-hmm. But
really fast on Marcus Freeman, this is just a brief aside. My roommate and I were looking through his old elementary school football cards, and he had a Marcus Freeman rookie card.
That's weird.
Did you know Marcus Freeman played in the NFL? Because I didn't.
I did not.
I looked it up. He was a 4th-round pick by the Chicago Bears. He barely made it to the end of training camp before they cut him. As a 4th-round pick.
4th-round pick?
He got cut his rookie year.
That year too.
Worse than getting cut his rookie year, he got cut twice his rookie year. Because I think then the Buffalo Bills signed him, and then they cut him before the end of the year, and then he got cut from training camp from a different team at the end of the year. That was the end of his NFL career.
What position was he at?
Linebacker. Oh. He was a linebacker that got cut 3 times within 13 calendar months.
Good God.
I've got it up here. The Bears, the Bills, and the Texans.
Yeah.
And they all have asterisks on them for all 2009, off-season and or practice squad member only.
Yeah. He had the worst NFL career ever. It was a
5th-round pick.
5th round,
Those teams were all bad that year, too.
Still. Well, I mean, it's the Texans and the Bears. They're bad every year.
I bet there's a Mr. Irrelevant out there somewhere that's had a better career than...
Well, yeah, Purdy.
Yeah, Purdy for sure.
I mean,
that was quick.
No, so I looked up the old trading card, though, to see, I wonder if it's got value now that he's Notre Dame's coach. No, that thing is going for $1.50.
Yeah. How much does wasted paper go for these days?
Can I extract the ink from this?
Yeah.
I have to pay for the recycling on this? Is that what you're saying?
$1.50 plus I'll pay for shipping plus that's a loss. I'm losing money on that.
Yeah.
Let's see if Marcus Freeman will sign it someday, though.
Yeah.
Bump it up by $2.
And this may be the most unbelievable night in Cornhusker football history.